GDPR, POPIA, LGPD, CCPA, DPDP, and PDPL. If acronyms like these haunt your nightmares, then I think this video about ISO 27701 is for you. ISO 27701 is more commonly known as the PIMS standard, or the Privacy Information Management System standard. That may sound like yet another acronym in what is already feeling like an alphabet soup, but here's the thing. ISO 27701 aims to be a one-stop solution to being compliant with a range of data and privacy-focused rules and regulations, much like all the ones we mentioned above. This means that one standard, implemented well, communicates to all your customers, partners, and authorities that you take data privacy seriously. So, what is ISO 27701? ISO 27701 comes from the ISO 27000 family of standards. The 27000 series focuses primarily on IT security, cybersecurity, and privacy protection, all of which are vital for companies and organizations in the modern day. You've probably even heard of ISO 27701's older brother, ISO 27001, where ISO 27001 helps companies build and maintain an information security management system, ISMS. ISO 27701 helps companies build a privacy information management system, PIMS, all the way from establishing and implementing to maintaining and continually improving. ISO 27701, much like GDPR, assumes that your company falls into one of two categories, depending on how your company manages PII, or personally identifiable information. There are PII processors and PII controllers. Simply put, a controller is the entity from whom the data originates, and a processor is the entity who processes the data on behalf of the controller. The ISO 27701 doc, similar to ISO 27001, is broken down into clauses and annexes. There's 8 clauses, 1 through 8, and 6 annexes from Annex A through Annex F. Let's start with clauses. Clauses 1, 2, 3, and 4 deal with the basics of ISO 27701. There's scope, references, definitions, and a general overview. Clauses 5 through 8, though, is where we get more specific. Clause 5 deals with extending information security requirements from ISO 27001 to incorporate the protection of privacy. You need to determine your role either as a processor or a controller so as to determine the impact of internal or external factors on your compliance posture. These could be privacy-specific regulations based on your geography and contractual requirements. Depending on your role, you will pick relevant controls from Annex A or Annex B, which we'll get to in a second. Clause 6 also deals with extending information security requirements, except in Clause 6, it's from ISO 27002, not ISO 27001. If you'd like to know more about ISO 27002, you can watch the video in the top right corner right now. Clauses 7 and 8 provide additional guidance for PII controllers and PII processors respectively. These two clauses feature PIMS-specific implementation guidance, such as identifying the reason you're collecting the PII and what your legal basis is for processing it thereafter. There's also detailed guidance on consent, withdrawals, PII access, correction, and erasure. Annexes A through F contain PIM-specific goals and controls, along with the mapping of these controls to other frameworks or laws. Annex A houses goals and controls for controllers, whereas Annex B houses similar goals and controls but for processors in this case. Annexes C through F provide additional knowledge that can support with setting up and operating your effective PIMS, including mapping to GDPR and defining the relationship between ISO 27001 and ISO 27701 and ISO 27002. How do you get ISO 27701 compliant? There's a couple of things to keep in mind when getting compliant. First off, you can only pursue ISO 27701 if you are already ISO 27001 compliant. This may feel like a deal breaker, but in fact it is actually extremely easy to get both done together at the same time. It also makes it more inexpensive than getting both separately. Second, if you're looking to get compliant, there's 2 ways Sprinto can help. One is an ISO 27001 checklist, which you can download for absolutely free from the link in the description below. The second is compliance automation. By digitizing and automating the compliance process, Sprinto helps thousands of companies just like yours get ISO 27001 and 27701 compliant faster and more effectively, and year-round, not just during an audit cycle. Companies just like yours that get compliant with Sprinto save up to 80% of their cost, time, and effort during the compliance process. Learn more by visiting sprinto.com or book a demo with our ISO experts using the link in the description and comment section below. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.